Welcome friends. Today's discussion is going to be extremely critical for all faculties, students and educational institutes. Today we have with us another eminent personality, Dr. K.K. Agarwal. He is chairman for National Board of Accreditation. And today we will discuss with him that why accreditation is extremely critical for students and faculty for their career. So, welcome Dr. Agarwal to the discussion and thanks for sparing time.
Thank you, Abhay. So nice to talk to you.
So, sir, I have very basic fundamental question to start with because large number of our viewers may not be aware of what NBA is. So, can you tell us what NBA is and why accreditation is necessary for the institutions which are already approved by UGC or AICTE?
Abhay, see, when institutions are approved by UGC or AICTE, many a times they are greenfield institutions. They are just starting. So we give approval in anticipation of the effects of quality. Accreditation is a process which we take up after 2 batches of students have already graduated. So that means the systems are stabilized and we are now trying to measure the quality of the institution after the systems are stabilized. And therefore, it is now believed very strongly that as the quality of higher education is a very important factor in the progress of an in a nation, and therefore accreditation now has become all the more important because after the institutions have been in existence for 5-6 years, we expect from them to perform.
So, sir, what is the fundamental difference between NBA accreditation in terms of norms vis-a-vis when UGC or AICTE gives approval to the institutions?
Yeah, say for example, AICTE approval will depend upon input parameters, how much faculty, how much area and all that. AICTE approval process cannot really capture teaching learning process and the output thereof. NBA today is a completely outcome-based process. We really believe, particularly after we became members of the Washington Accord, that NBA should be concerned with outcome-based education. We want an engineer to possess these parameters. AICTE tries to ensure that if these input parameters are taken care of, it should happen. Does it really happen? That's the basic difference, that we in NBA are concerned with more than the input parameter.
And sir, how this is going to affect career of students and faculty?
Because now the world at large and to a good extent even Indian stakeholders have become aware of the quality and are conscious of the quality. I had not seen 20 years ago parents and students going around 25 institutions before deciding to where to take admission. But today they do that. And therefore, they are very quality conscious. So the simple advertisements or wrong facts may not impress them. So they really want to ensure the quality. And NBA has been given this responsibility to ensure the quality. And therefore, our website will clearly give all stakeholders the programs which we have accredited and for how long. And Abhay, as you know, we are members of Washington Accord, which is a consortium of sort of 21 countries, which includes USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, etc., etc. And therefore, we are duty bound to ensure that the graduate attributes which have been agreed to in a consortium of all these 21 countries are ensured in our accredited institutions also. So therefore, if a program in an institution is accredited by NBA, then every stakeholder is more or less ensured that those essential graduate attributes are imbibed in the graduates of this institution. And now, because of the Washington Accord, the same is acceptable to all 21 countries for employment.
So if I understand correctly, whether you want to say that because of this Washington Accord, if a student in India is graduating from an NBA accredited institute, then he will have more value in these countries, and students who has not graduated from an accredited institute will not be perceived of that quality or that standard in these countries?
Oh, Abhay, you are perfectly right. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's more than that. The countries outside believe, because we do not know the perceived quality or the standards of all institutions in other countries. Therefore, the common denominator has come out to be the accreditation. We have seen in last couple of years the graduates from even good institutions which were not accredited, they were thrown out by the countries from employment, because they said how we have no mechanism to ensure that. So our common denominator is, if you are graduated from an accredited institution, for us you are okay. And the understanding is that as far as employment and placement in any country is concerned, because you meet the same graduate attributes, you should be acceptable. We have seen in last couple of years, particularly in South Asian countries and all that, many students, many graduates who were there even for quite some time were asked either to produce a certificate that their institution is accredited or leave the country. So it's leading to a bit of serious repercussion at the international level, because they believe, having 4,000 colleges in India, how do we know which one is good? So accreditation is the only norm by which we can go.
So, sir, what percentage of institutes are currently accredited, and what is the roadmap for non-accredited institutions?
Abhay, let me be frank on this. It's a little not a very healthy picture. At the moment, we have accredited only about 15% of the programs in the country, not more than that. Now, the question arises why? First of all, as I told you, we are supposed to follow the standards of our 21 countries. So we have to maintain the standards. We can't dilute the standards. And there's no intention to dilute the standards, because accreditation is the final quality stamping which we are giving to the institution after AICTE approval and all that. And if we dilute that final standard also, things are bad. So we don't want to do that. The problem with the institutions is that they do not meet even the minimum essential requirements. For example, when AICTE started giving approvals, they were concerned only with the, say, teacher-student ratio. It should be 15 or 20 or something like that. But when we came, we said, okay, teacher-student ratio is fine, but at least 20% of your faculty must be PhD. Now, this became an additional parameter which AICTE did not have. Now, many of the institutions do not have even 20% or even 10% of the PhD faculty, and that we believe is not conducive to quality. Similarly, placements, and where are the placements? Where are the students going for internship and things like that? Because AICTE devises, and then it is for the institutions to follow it up. Accreditation is supposed to really make a final check. Have they followed up what AICTE said? And therefore, there's a gap. And as you know, in Washington Accord, because the number of colleges were too many, and one typical problem which India has is bulk of our colleges are still affiliated colleges. Their issue was, sir, you want us to be outcome-based. If our university is not outcome-based, what the hell can we do? Because we are an affiliated college. We can't devise the things for ourselves. So therefore, we divided the total institutions in the country into two parts: tier 1 institutions, which have a control over their syllabus and curriculum, and tier 2 institutions, which practically have to follow the university. So we set the standards slightly different for tier 1 and tier 2. From tier 1 institutions, we expect more creativity, more innovativeness, more experimentation for the flexibility to the students. For tier 2, we expect limited, but